right, there we go. Hey everyone, Richard Carlton here. Welcome to another great day of FileMaker training at fmtraining.tv. I'm the creator of fmtraining.tv, where you can learn all about the FileMaker platform and learn how to build better FileMaker applications for you, your customers, your organization. This broadcast is completely free to everyone and is being broadcast in high definition to Discord, YouTube, and to Twitch. This broadcast is being recorded, which is really great. Of course, we might clean up the recording a little bit, so if we make a malfunction during the live stream, then of course we reserve the right to clean that up on the recording later on. However, because it's a live broadcast, we encourage you to ask questions. In fact, some people get aggravated when there's this dialogue with you and we ask questions. We want questions. If you have a question, odds are other people have the question too. And so I want to thank everyone for logging in, Ken and TK and Dave One, Dave Learning, Ed, Elzo, Carol, Jake, Mike, all of you, welcome once again to another great broadcast. Now, as a reminder, if you want to check out the upcoming broadcast, go to fmtraining.tv, press the left tab for the live button. You can see the upcoming broadcast schedule. That's pretty awesome. Additionally, if you want to help support this channel, right? We always say this, this broadcast is brought to you by fmtraining.tv, bringing you the greatest and the most entertaining FileMaker training videos available. So the idea is that if you want to help support the channel, make sure you check out our on-demand video bundles. We have videos that cover the latest version of FileMaker. We have videos that cover the deploy course. In fact, we used to sell the courses individually. Anymore, it's just much simpler to sell a complete bundle for a low price. We do this on an annual basis. So if you buy one of the bundles, that really helps support the channel. It ensures that we can keep coming back every day, because this broadcast actually takes a lot of money to run. The people here don't work for free. So today we are talking about a very beginning conversation about fmtraining.tv. If you want to check out what's coming up on our live broadcast schedule, you visit the fmtraining.tv website, which apparently went through some more updates and things like that, which is great. We needed that. Today we're going to be covering custom themes and shared styles. We're also doing naming conventions because our broadcast scheduler person got confused and forgot what she was doing. So because Claire's promoted it with custom naming conventions, we're going to cover all three topics, or both topics, naming conventions and then custom themes and shared styles. Let's get on with the conversation here. So real quick, coding standards and naming conventions. I have two documents here. We're going to provide these two. Margaret's going to put these in to the Discord, and we're going to cross-post them there. First off, I want to point out that we have these naming conventions here. I'm going to cross-post them into YouTube, but right now I'm actually doing the one, and I'm going to do the other one. And so this one this document right here, the one that says Rev 9, is a document that was created by RCC prior to Nick coming on board with us. And it's basically our view of kind of ideas about naming things. I think it's pretty useful. Of course, one or more of you pointed out that there was differences or conflicts between this document, and then Nick came out with one after that called Coding Standards, and you have this PDF here too. And Nick wrote this probably early on when he came to RCC, or right prior to coming to RCC. But anyway, so this is it's a much more detailed document. It's like 20 some odd pages, and talks about script commenting, things like that. And so for those of you who watch Nick and do naming conventions, it's important to understand that there's no right or wrong for naming conventions. But what you need to do is make sure that the people come behind you can follow what the hell you're doing, I think is the operative thing. Or at least you yourself can follow your own your own solution, right? And so the idea is that if you are going to comment things a certain way, you're going to do a field or a table organization, anchor buoy in a certain way, that you come up with a with a method that you can follow later on, or other people can follow later on. Nick talks about this stuff here, which is pretty consistent with what we're doing. Some companies, FileMaker consultancies, get really anal, and I'm saying the word really anal very specifically because it has a very specific meaning. Very, very interesting what they do in terms of naming. They, like, if you have a text field, it'll be a T and an underscore or something like that, or it'll be the name of the field underscore and then a little T on the end of the field definition. I do that with global fields because that way they group together in the field definitions. But you can take it to the maximum. Like I do an ID underscore, so that all the primary keys or foreign keys grouped together in the field definitions, right? And so you may or may not see that in here, but we talk about naming things. And then we put the underscore in here once again. Nick, although the other day said he hates underscores, he likes to use spaces, which is fine until you try to incorporate this. Use SQL or use JSON or use an API curl where you're talking outside service. You basically, once you step outside the world of FileMaker, spaces are pretty much illegal as hell. Right? It's like, as long as you live within this walled garden, we always talk about the walled garden of the iOS operating system, but really FileMaker is kind of its own little walled garden of stuff in here. And as soon as you want to step out of the walled garden, if you have a space, your crap breaks. And so if you're always going to stay inside the walled garden, it's fine. If you're going to step outside of that, you better not use spaces. That's not my opinion. That's physics. That's like Nick being mad that at me, and he's here, you're here, you can chime in here. But it's like being mad at me about oxygen, you know, breathing oxygen. You can't breathe underwater. Okay, why is that? Well, I want to breathe underwater so I can talk to dolphins. Okay, yeah, so it's physics, right? Some things are like, if you did a G underscore or an ID underscore, that's not going to break anything, and it's personal taste, personal style, right? Pick something you like. But these are two great documents to kind of have that conversation. What is camel case, Kyle? Kyle says, naming conventions are super important, keeping your scripts and layouts organized. I use camel case to avoid spaces. What is camel case? When you say camel case, all I think of is a big, it's like an African cow.
I can show what camel case is.
This is camel case. Oh, it's just, okay, so here, let me go over here to Discord so you guys can see this. So if I come back over here, I'm going to minimize myself. Camel case is where you're like, you just write and you just put the caps on the top letter there. Yeah, so there you go. Yeah, when I say camel case, that's what I think of right here. Okay, so that's so the letters are the humps. This is Nick versus, yeah, got it. Okay, good. Well, that's one of those things that you get to be doing this long enough, and then you don't realize that you missed something important.
But that's not camel case. Hello?
You're here. I hear you, Nick. You're saying
if you show my screen, I can show you what camel case is, because this is not camel case. Camel case start with a small letter. Camel case. There's no space.
Right.
So camel case. This is how that looks. Okay.
Right.
So there's no space, and the first letter is always a small character.
Okay.
Always.
Okay.
Otherwise, it's not a camel. It's an elephant case. You know what I mean?
Okay.
We call camel because it go up, down, up, down, up, down. You know, like you have a capital letter, no capital letter, no capital letter, no. So it's going like a mountains like that. That's what we call that camel case. Right?
Okay. Got it. Okay.
So there's no space. That all. Okay. I use camel case. You know when I use camel case? Okay. Here, when I do let's statement, and you have this, and you say, okay, is empty. For example, I want to say something there. First name contact.
Right.
I use camel case for the name of the statement inside the let's. Right.
Okay.
Okay. So I'm using camel case here. It's very useful.
Yep.
Because you cannot use space for that. It's not practical, right? And when you use that in your calculation, you repeat it multiple times. You can identify much more easy.
Yeah.
Right. So okay.
Cool. Okay. There you go. Camel case. So sometimes there is camel case or camel case.
Yeah. See, camel case. Okay.
Okay, cool. Well, there you go. So that is the answer for that. So you learned something. I learned something new today. I've seen camel case. There's a guy in the FileMaker threads who on the FileMaker community is camel case, pretty sharp guy, but I didn't understand why the legacy was on that or what that was about. So the naming convention conversation is one that we've made available in the PDFs. I highly recommend that you do something at least for yourself, because one of the biggest issues you run into in the world of FileMaker is coming behind yourself and wishing that you understood what the hell you built. And it's not just table occurrences, it's also layouts, because we run into people who name things. Let me get rid of that. They name things with like print label. Like I was visiting a customer site the other day, and they had a script called print label, and then they had another script called print label, and then there were 4 scripts called print label. FileMaker doesn't use the name to keep track of it. It uses a hidden ID field when you do a naming of a script or a layout. It has a hidden ID field, doesn't matter. So you can call it print whatever, it doesn't care, and you can have 5 of them. You could have every layout and every script named the exact same, with the exact same name, and FileMaker wouldn't care, because it would keep track of it. The problem is us humans would not be able to keep track of it. That's why we number them. So whenever we have a bug report that comes in, someone wants to talk about a script, I say, what script number, right? Or what layout number. That way they don't have to write out the very long-winded name of the script or the name over here, right? So if I come over here, we see we have some scripting. Instead of writing out this long pile right here, they would just give me script 0111, right? Makes sense? Pretty straightforward. So very, very useful to have some sort of naming convention in there. Now I met, there was a guy named Michael Scott. He's probably retired by now. I haven't talked to him in a while. Michael Scott was at Caltrans, and he was over at Justice, and he moved over a couple of, I think he was last at Department of General Services in the state of California. And he had this thing of naming this. It'd be 0119X13121, and it's very, 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 I would say, once again, kind of this anal idea of a very rigorous, naming convention. And the problem is, I think he spent a lot of, for people who in their minds organize stuff this way. I just don't want to have 2 scripts of the same, 2 things, don't with the same number. But if I'm looking for script of 531, I'm going to look in the 500 section. I'm going to scroll down until I have 500. Allows you to find things pretty quickly, right? Which is the ideal thing. I like that quite a lot. Be able to find it quickly, and then be able to positively identify it with your customers or with other people working on your team. Okay, so that's what this is about. So naming conventions. So field naming conventions. Nick, you want to show any of your stuff a little bit? Do you have any of the naming conventions?
Okay, the naming convention here. Okay, for who attended our webinar, we made the 3 days. Remember this webinar? That was kind of a private webinar. I explained and I demonstrated dramatically the advantage of using a naming convention that fits the way you are working. It's very important that you do that. The naming convention is not just a set of rules just to annoy you. Or it's not just a set of rules because Matt or Todd or whatever people outside, they told you to do that, or even myself. I'm not here to tell you what to do. I'm here to tell you what we are doing, what I'm doing, and I'm showing you how and why I'm doing it. So and then you can make your own opinion. During that webinar, I made a dramatic demonstration on how a bad naming convention can increase your time of working by 3, just because you didn't name the field correctly. Okay, so you didn't name the field in a way that could help you, support you in your effort, right? Sometimes I'm seeing people say, date invoice, date created, date sent, date. So you have date. Okay, so that means when you have, let's say you have 200 fields, you type DAT, because with FileMaker, unfortunately, we don't have a filter here in this. So you type DAT, and you have to go date. So it doesn't help. It doesn't help at all. Like you say, name first, name last, name, all names like this. Okay. If you you talk about people making T's, for example, or C's underscore T's underscore N underscore.
C,
They
C
put that
for
on the first
calculation.
name.
Yeah, C for calculation.
Yeah.
Or whatever.
So that means you type C, and you have C, Z, C, 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 C. So the only filter we have in a managed database layout, the only field we have, the only small piece of filter we have, that means the first three character you type. That's the only filter we have there. Okay, you are ruining it because you put C's and T's and J's and dates and name, and so that's what I'm saying. And it's not only there, is when you want to place a field in the layout, right? When you want to place a field in the layout, we don't have filter here. If I want job here, I can do only this job. That all thing I can do. So if you kill this because you say no, it's not job, it's T underscore job. So you type T, and you have all the T's. That means you have pretty much all the fields starting with T's. So you kill the only way you can. So it's not helping you. I'm sorry. If that helped you, okay. So maybe some people have those different practices, right? But but this is not helping. That's what I was saying, So the naming convention must be there to support your effort of doing things, right? So what do you want me to show?
No, that's fine. I think it depends, right? It's like name. So for example, I love putting name together, so you have the names that pop together, right? And it just depends on personal style. Some of this stuff, but I like the IDs.
Yeah, but let's say you have let's say you have name. You have multiple names like this.
Correct.
I want the full name. I want the first.
Yeah.
I want the last. I don't want name last, because we cannot say name last. So I want the first name. With your solution, you have to type name.
Correct.
And then you have let's say I want the full name, and then you have to go to the full name.
Then you have to
with
pick
my
one.
system.
Yep.
I want the full name. I have the full name. I don't need to do name and then look for the full.
This is why there are inconsistencies, because Nick and I don't agree on everything. So that's just the way that is. You have to pick the thing that works.
But sorry, the system with name, full name first, name last. Okay, if you want the last name, you need to go to name.
Yep. And then there'll be five or six of them.
The first of the name, and then you have to go to the last.
All right.
With my system, I tap last. And that's the message I have today for that. Okay, you can do whatever. Okay, look, I'm addicted to freedom. So I'm for the right of doing whatever you want. We after 35 years of working every day of the year on the same thing, okay, we came to the conclusion that sometimes there's techniques that you can use to help yourself, right? So here, the naming convention, depending on how, if your FileMaker file is related to a SQL database, for example, okay, or you need access, you need your FileMaker solution database to be accessible from other system, from outside. Yes, no spaces. You need to use whatever naming convention they have. Okay. You have the obligation to do it. Why? So you lose freedom. Okay. So that means you lose freedom. For my stuff, 99.99% of what I'm doing with FileMaker is FileMaker only. So why do you want me to give up my freedom for something that is not going to happen?
Yeah, because you're not working and doing that other stuff. But but just understand that I would say probably 70-80% of the developers at RCC are doing external interactions with other services. So it becomes a concern when you
they do external. No. Wait a minute. What you say is FileMaker calling somebody else.
Correct.
You can have first name, full name with spaces. You won't break anything if you do that, because I'm doing that all the time myself.
You have to encode the spaces and things like that. Correct. Yeah. So.
Yeah. Okay. But it doesn't mean that for every single field of every single table of every single file you build, you need to remove the spaces, because one day you have 3 fields that is used in the calculation for one service. You know what I mean? So it's that the thing. You know, you need to you need to moderate yourself, okay? Because it's not necessary, right? It's not necessary. When something is not necessary, don't do it. With FileMaker, we have the freedom to have spaces. I'm using spaces. Sorry, you know, I have the freedom to do it.
Yep. So moving along to the next topic, we have the topic of custom themes and shared styles, which was originally one of the topics that we were going to cover today. And the idea about custom themes and shared styles, for those of you, this is definitely a lean design kind of conversation. I was working with custom themes and shared style before Nick came to work at RCC, and it's something that even Claire's does talk about quite a bit. So let me pop open a FileMaker solution here real quick. It doesn't really matter what it's about. It's a copy of Starting Point Light. I'm going to move Nick out of the way briefly right here. And so what I want to do is I want to come over to like a context layout. So a very, very basic context layout. I'm going to zoom in a little bit here so everyone can see this. So when you're in layout mode, understand that FileMaker, when it renders the layout, this layout is effectively a combination. It's basically FileMaker's own internal, I don't want to say web page, but basically kind of the idea of a web page. There's code that drives this. The code used to be something that you couldn't see, you couldn't interact with. It was all this magical proprietary stuff that you could never interact with. And Claris basically took the structure of the layout, and they have the ability now to render it out as XML. Within the XML, there's the XML of the objects and things like that, but there's also the CSS. That's the cascading style sheet stuff. It's very similar to the web CSS. It operates kind of the same way, but it describes what you see in the FileMaker screen. For every layout, if we have a layout with just, like if I start, like if I'm going to do a brand new layout, just to point this out, I'm going to start a brand new layout. I'll call it test. I'm going to say it's a form view. I'm going to say finish. It's totally blank. There's almost nothing, a little bit of description to explain that there's a header part here and a body, and then and there's not even a footer here. So all we have is a body. So now this is about as bare bones as it can possibly get. If I drag a field on here, I'm just going to drag down a field, and I'm going to ID it as cell phone. Okay. Now, within this object, there's the XML in here, but there's also CSS that describes how this looks. Now, it's kind of goofy over here. It's messed up a little bit. That's because there is a styling to this object. There's a padding and all these items right here. Okay, so if we take this object right here, and I'm just going to say duplicate it, this has its own description. This has its own description. And if you customize it, what you don't want to do is get into this issue where you customize each object individually. Say I change this little bit here and I make it red or something like that. We're not saying don't customize the system, but if you had a whole bunch of fields on your layout, so I'm gonna pop a new window here. I'm gonna go back over to mouse layouts. I'm gonna go to context. I'm gonna go to the data entry screen right here. These fields here largely should look the same and behave the same, if that makes sense, right? So if you went over here and clicked it and you styled it individually, and then you clicked in this and styled it individually, you're creating you're creating a block of CSS code for each one. And so there's a block of code, if I move this over, a block of code for that one, a block of code for this one, a block of code for this one, and this one. And so it would be great if you had a block of code that described one, and then all these other ones reference the same block. That's the shared style. So you create a style. Nick is the king of creating styles, although he hates to do it in FileMaker 19 because they changed how it worked a little bit. But what you end up doing is you end up creating a style. Like over here, you come up here, you click on this button right here, which are your styles, and see it's got this default style right here, right? And this has a default style. So they're using the same style. Now it doesn't have to be the default. It could be called Blue Rubber Ducky 5. It doesn't really matter. That's the name. We could create our own style. We could say it's going to be green text or a purple bottom, and then maybe green text or something bizarre like that. And then we could create a new style. You come over here and you go, oh my God, click right here to say save as a new style, and you're going to bottom for your text field or whatever you're going to do, right? And so then if you had that right there, and then you wanted to you wouldn't want to go in and individually style each item. You want to go to these other ones here. Is the idea, select them, right? And Nick's about to jump up here, right? And then you'd select right here. And so same block. They're referencing the same block. So when this page downloads to the user, it doesn't have to go block, custom, CSS, blocks. It only sends the one, and the other ones reference it. And so FileMaker is not going to do this for you automatically. You have to actually create the style, then attach that style to the other objects, and it can cut down on the overall space and speed it takes to download the page. We ran tests on this back, I don't know, a couple of years ago, back in, I think, whenever, 17, I think it was, or 16. And if you had every object style individually, which is typically what people do, and then you restyle the layout where the objects that have similar, like these are similar, and then these are similar, then these might be similar over there. The page speed to render, the download time was half as, not the time, but the amount of data was half the amount of data. It was like a 2 megabyte or a 1 megabyte layout or a 800K layout. It became like half that size when you use the shared style. It saves that much, right? So Nick, I've kind of made my pitch there. You want to?
Yeah. So, okay.
I'm gonna jump to your. I'll jump to your screen here.
Okay, about the styles and about the theme and stuff like that. Know that I worked. You remember? Actually, I joined FileMaker at the time where they were building this because they needed a kind of somebody with a strong knowledge on these things, and I was working with Adam and
Venadala specifically,
and Heather. Heather, and so I actually. People doesn't know, but they're all those themes, original themes. Some has gone. They removed a lot of them, right? But at the beginning, when you have FileMaker 12, you have like 5 times as much of theme here. They were all made with a FileMaker solution. That means the FileMaker solution was building the code, the CSS code that was used into the FileMaker code for the theme. Okay, so and I built the FileMaker file that was generating. You can imagine how complicated the code was and stuff like that. So I have a deep intimacy with the theme. Okay, so things have changed dramatically since the last 2 or 3 releases. Things that were valid with FileMaker 12, 13, 14 are no longer valid. Okay. And more less valid. Why? Because now the custom style are more and more smart. They share more. They made a huge effort there. We have to admit they made a huge effort to cover the problem. And I know before I left, they were on the way to hire a bunch of CSS people. By the way, it's something you can do if you want, just for fun. You go to the jobs at apple.com and you look what FileMaker is looking for as a job, and you know where they're working on. You can know what they are working on, what they need help for. So during a time they were hiring people for security. Then they were hiring web, and you knew that they were working on server security, or they were working on WebDrive, right? So what FileMaker is doing, monitoring the job at FileMaker. So that's a tip. And so they did a good job here to. But what I want to show here, I want to help people to be more efficient. Today is my efficiency day. Okay. So, like for the naming convention, I want to do the same thing here. Objects, you have different type of objects. So I remember, I cannot show you that because I have an NDA, I signed an NDA with FileMaker, so I cannot show you. But you have different categories of objects, okay? So you had fields object, you have shapes, and you have portals, and what I mean. So you have a different type of objects in a layout, right? So they all have different characteristics. Okay, you have the text, And so they have all characteristics, specifics, okay? Some share the same, but for example, within one field, within one type or one category of object, like the field, for example, okay? You have what we call declination of the same objects. For example, if I duplicate this object and I start saying, oh, by the way, this is a drop-down menu, okay? This is still a field, okay? It's still a field. But if I decide this is a pop-up menu, is no longer a field. It's a field with some specifics. If I duplicate this and I say, yes, no, it's not a pop-up, it's a checkbox. So now you have different characteristics. And if I said this, no, it's not a checkbox, it's a radio button, etc., you know where I'm going to land here. So, and then this is a date. It's a drop-down calendar. Doesn't look different with a field. It starts looking different when you include the box, when you include the button here. But those two, this one, for example, and then you have here, you have the other one that I missed, the drop-down with the buttons. So this one, those objects here are the same objects. This object here are the same objects. So let's say I am modifying the color of this, right? And I want to apply, and let's say I modify the color of the background. I want to copy and paste. I want to apply this custom style to those three, okay? It will work because if I copy this and I do this, there's absolutely no problem. Why? It's because they share the same building foundation, okay? So the code now is not custom code. It's not like I don't have a custom code for this one. FileMaker did something smart here. We have a custom code now for this type of objects, okay? It's not as dirty as it used to be, okay? It's not clean, but it's not as dirty, okay? Especially when you use this tool here, okay? So now you can say, for example, see here, I have this white there. I have this is blue, this is blue, this is blue. Let's say I'm changing the icon here and I'm making the icon red here, right? And let's say this red. No, the icon is red, right? And the button, I don't have any button here, okay? So I'm copying this object here. I'm copying I'm copying the object completely. Okay, and I apply to those two. You see that it works. Also, copy the start of this, applies to this, and applies to this, because they have the same building blocks. Okay, they are the same object with specifics, but they are the same objects. So that's what I want to share. I want to show you that it's better. When you do copy paste something like this, you create you put less mess, let's say, when you use this tool of copy and paste the style instead of doing one by one manually. If you do this manually, you are adding a custom style on top of the custom style.
Okay.
If you use the copy paste, FileMaker is smart enough to say, okay, I have the style, I know what you want that one.
Okay, so the eyedropper, and so you weren't really clear about this way you're explaining it, Nick, but the eyedropper, it used to be, so if you create a field and you duplicate it, it creates some XML code to express the field, but it uses the same CSS, okay? For those of you who understand CSS. Now, if you take a field and you eyedropper it and you want to make an identical copy, that what used to be, it would actually take all the CSS and completely replicate the CSS. So it didn't reference the same thing. The eyedropper was always it was fast for development, but under the hood, it created a lot of CSS. Do you know if that's still the case?
Understanding, talking to people close to the matter, That is no longer the case. So
Okay.
now I don't know if
We'd have to run a test on that to see that, because what
Yeah.
would happen is that it would, when you would replicate it from one to the other, in an ideal world it would be smart, but back when this was out for the first up through FileMaker 16, I know that it would take the CSS and it wouldn't just reference it, it would duplicate all the CSS and glue it into this one. So if you took eyedropper,
I think it's no longer the case. But
okay, well,
unfortunately, here, unless we have somebody like, actually, I don't know anybody anybody that is working on this anymore.
Yeah. Well, we could take it apart. You can actually get at the CSS and pop it apart. We need to run a test on that. That would be interesting.
Yeah, we need to run a test. But my understanding, the last time I talked, that was in 2019 at the DEF CON, that because I was talking about the people the most aware about those things are the people working on the WebDirect team. Okay. Because they are the most affected by this duplication and replication. The WebDirect team.
Yeah. No, absolutely, because WebDirect is always much more sensitive to the amount of data. Yeah. All right, so Cameron has a question. He wants to know if there's a difference between this and this stuff over here.
Okay. My last understanding, because now, it's difficult to say. My last understanding was there is a difference. So there is a big difference between this code here and this code here. Okay, so before there were a difference because FileMaker wanted to keep a compatibility with but the theme is no longer there. The classic theme, remember?
Yeah, classic is gone. If you have it, you can still use it, but you can't specify.
So the difference was to keep kind of a compatibility with this classic theme that wasn't a theme, by the way. It was very, very, very. It wasn't a hybrid of multiple things. But it's no longer there. So that's why And since they removed the classic, I don't know what they did with the code behind the button here. Okay.
Yeah.
I personally don't use this one because this one is more explicit. You know what you're doing, because the difference between this. Why
don't you walk us through it here? Walk us through this, because this is the one I would use. I never use this. I use this one up here because that's the one I use.
Okay, so I'm doing exactly the opposite. I'm not. Actually, I can just remove that button here. It's I don't care. So this here and this here, the difference is. Let's say I have a different style. Okay, I have a style and I have different states. Okay, those are the states. The normal states. Let's put a hover state here. Okay, let's put a hover state that is flashy. You have a press state. Okay, and you have in focus. Most of the time, I like to do this for in focus. Okay. So, but let's do that on this field here. Okay. So when you go browse mode, so you have hover.
Yep.
Normal state is gray and red. Okay.
Yep.
Hover, press, and
release.
In focus.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
So normal, hover, press. In focus. Okay. So you have different. Now I say, okay, no. I want to hear how I am efficient. That's why people say, how is it possible that in 2 hours you did all of this? Why? Because, okay, let's say I want to remove the mess here because this is super messy. Okay. This is too messy. Okay. I want to make something better here. I click here. I copy the normal state. I copy the normal state. This is the normal state. Okay. If I go there, I do this. I copy the hover state.
Yep.
Okay. But I want to copy the normal state. I go to hover. I paste it. I go to press. I paste it. I go to in focus. I paste it. So now I have all those four the same. And now I can say, okay, you know what? I just want a little variance. A little variance on what's the name, under what's the name, on the hover. I want a little bit like this, a little bit, okay? And then press, I want a little bit darker. And then the in focus, I want it white, okay? So here, I have hover, press, and I have in focus. See? So this is how you use this. You flatten your stuff by copy, paste, and then you go back and you do your variations, right? So, but you have the same foundation. This is why this, and now you say, okay, now, oh, okay, I want this style, this style here, I want to copy the style, so the one on top of this, and I want to paste it here in that one, bam. So now, oh, this one, for example, bam. So now, this style here, this one and this one share the same.
Okay, see? so I don't know if Moki, this is what Moki was just asking. He says, he said this from about 2 minutes ago. I do this so much and make all these variations. I must do this 100 times. And so, yeah, if you could do it once in the style and then apply the style, right? Which is what you did at the end there, Nick, right? Moki, is that, okay, I missed the duh part, right? So, all right, once again.
Unfortunately, we cannot have a button. We don't have a button say apply to all style. You know, it could have been. It could have been nice to have a kind of, I don't know, here apply style to all. You know, I want that to all states, because those are, we call that states.
States.
Okay, that are style. That are components of the object. This object are one component. You know. Yep. It's an edit box. That's it. That's the only component of this object. This object here have multiple components. It's a drop-down list. That's a button and that's an icon. Here, the same. It's a drop-down calendar. That's a button and that's an icon. Okay, this, for example, it's a portal. You have two components, right? This component has this state, and this component has this states. See, so those are components of object, and those are states. How they call that? Object type. Yeah. See, state. It's okay.
Object type.
I call that components because it makes more sense. It's composing an object.
Yeah, because this, all three of these create the object, right? So the object has really
this object here. This object here is this object here, for example, or this one has. It's a box plus that the same of this one. Those two are exactly the same, but this one has a button here and has an icon. So you have, that's why you have this. You have the box, the button, so you can put whatever you want in the button. See, this is a button. It's a button here. So it has exactly the same. The button has all the state as a button, as this, you know. Because actually what happened here, the object components of this are merged with this one, okay? But they are the same. So this one has those states. So the button of this object will have the same state, right? And when you go there, here in the button, and you put an icon here, right? And you go the icon here, you have those states. And here, if you go there and the object and you go to the icon, you have exactly the same state as the icon.
Yeah.
By the way, and you got it. If I change the button, if I change this button like this, okay, and I copy the style of this guy here, and I paste it here, it happened this, you know. So you have. You kind of merge the foundation of this guy.
Yep.
Okay. So that's how, you know, when you learn how the objects are composed, you know, you can play with this at your advantage, and that's what I was saying about efficiency, you know, because pretty much I can copy that style here and apply there too, right? And see everything follows. If I go there, if I go to the icon, you know, the icon is the icon here is different. I know why, but it's a long story. But
Yeah.
because there's no state. Okay, so those icons here, those objects here are special. See here, okay, if I go there, I go to the icon, I have multiple states here.
Yep.
But this one is different. This object is composed with multiple objects, right? That's multiple components in this one, okay? And but the icon doesn't have states, okay?
Oh, okay.
Okay, so that's why it doesn't. It's treated on the side. Okay, it's treated on the side because it's not really the same as this one, right? It's but those objects are very odd. Those check boxes and buttons. They're odd objects even for FileMaker.
Yep. Well, it was Moki's got some good comments there. I don't know if you can look at Discord. He says, "I hate how changing from drop down to pop over, vice versa. I know it's more correct." So it's talking about jumping from object types, right, and then having the states change and not change, right? So yeah. So Moki sounds like he does a lot of, he or she, I think it's a he, does a lot of custom themes and the styling here, right? So he's that kind of person. For me, if it looks kind of close, I'm good enough because I'm worried more about larger issues like structure and performance, things like that. But this is the aesthetic beauty of it.
Yeah, recently, okay, my concern is simplicity. You know that, right? So you know that what, like a customer of mine recently, Bilbo, not naming him, we have a sleeping now. So he's in Switzerland, so he cannot watch us.
Yeah, he's here. He's in here right
He's here?
now.
No,
He's
he's
here
sleeping.
watching you. So if you say anything bad, you better
He's
watch
here.
out.
Okay.
Never mind. Cancel.
So,
Cancel. Don't talk about Bilbo.
yeah. So the what is important is the efficiency. It's that's what He told me that he said, okay, this is Nick Hunter. This is Nick Hunter style. It's simple, straightforward. There's no complication. Okay, so that's what he said. And I'm happy when somebody said that, right? And recently too, I have another customer of mine that is watching what I'm saying, and he's applying letter after letters. Okay, everything I'm saying, and he showed me recently the result of what he did with the new morphism stuff. Okay, and it's amazing what he could have done in such limited time. Okay, so my philosophy here is, for simplicity, is to get something simple, remove it. If you want to solve a problem, just remove the problem. If you don't, this is the best solution of solving a problem. Okay, is to remove it. Okay, so that's why if I can bring it here. It's very important. That's why I came with this idea, this concept of new design, to have something that looks really modern, really cool, really nice, but there's absolutely nothing to take care of. A field here, this field here, there's nothing. Blank, 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 nothing. There's absolutely nothing to care about. Nothing. And here you have just the border. So, and everything is, so this style here is a universal style that can go to every single object of the solution. There's nothing to care about. This object, this object, this object, this object is the same. So, so that means this is a button for, tape, button, they share the same. So, you know what I mean? So, the style is not done yet, but this is a button, right? And this is a shape. They all share the same. You cannot differentiate them. Only if you do this, you can see that there's difference here. Okay, show button. Okay, so this is a button, this is not, but they share this. So that means I can copy paste. I can reuse. The style. It's always the same thing. Okay, so remove the problem, remove the border, remove all these boxes, and just remove it. Just remove it. Use another way to make the differentiation between the label, right, and the what's the name, and the field, for example, right?
Okay.
So
Good.
No,
good.
it's very important. I mean, it's important that if you want to be efficient, especially nowadays, what you need to do is just strip out what is not necessary. And obviously, all of this, this is what I build myself. So I'm criticizing myself, too. I mean, all of this was unnecessary, is no longer valid, is no longer, it's no longer something people want to see anyway.
Okay, so not Kyle, but Moki wants to know if you could show us now. What is the question? I'm talking about dropping custom formatting to other objects. How do you take custom formatting out of one object and apply it to another object, I think is the question.
Oh, yeah, actually, only if the object is the same. Okay, let me explain. When you have two objects, even though, okay, if this object and this object, they're all the same, right? They're all the same object. Let's say I have a custom formatting for this guy here, and so I have a custom formatting for this guy, and I want to spread this one here. So I open this, select, and normally I should be able to spread it, but sometimes it works, sometimes it's not.
Well, I think someone said there's a discussion the order you select them in. I think you select the first one first. Is that what you do?
Yeah, no, it's not. It's not. See, I did it, and it's no. I don't know. It's weird,
See, did it there. So.
Yeah, it's super weird. When you do this and then you select this. Sometimes it spreads, sometimes it doesn't.
Okay, well, Kyle was saying that it depends on the order that you select them in, right?
No, it's not. It's not. I try. I try here. Whatever the order you select.
What about
this
the one
first.
that has it? So do this one first, then these other ones after. First,
yes,
second, and then.
Yeah, that's what I've done.
Okay, so that doesn't work. So then how do you?
No. It's sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. It's weird. To be honest with you, it's super weird.
Okay, Ken says he thought it's a layer. It's the top layer that applies down.
Yeah, it's look.
So it'd be that one.
Okay, so I can. Okay, what I can do? Okay, front,
and then front. Now try that one first. 2, 3. Son of a, that is it. Ken, hot air balloon. Ken
is the king of the day.
Ken, we're clapping. Very nice. He just outdid Richard, outdid Nick. Wow, that has to be like you get like a gold coin when you do that, like a little like doubloon something. It says I kicked Nick's ass, right, or a shirt or something, right?
I cannot know everything.
We're selecting the item that has the top item is the top one, right? That's what we did, right? So the item that we want to replicate, we have to bring it to the top of the layering of the layers, right? And then you select it and then does it matter the order of selection then, or does it not matter the order of selection?
Let me try let me try it.
Do the bottom, do that way.
Yeah, it doesn't care.
It doesn't care the order of selection. It's the layer, so it's going to take it. It's going to take the custom formatting from the topmost object. Man.
Okay, Rick, did you know that?
No.
What?
Yeah. You're asking me if I knew this? No. No.
Look, you know what? And I don't even remember if I ever knew it.
Well, that's the problem. We're getting old, and I've forgotten more than I know, which is one of those
I don't think I know. Thing like this, most of the time I have a good memory. I never knew that. I don't even know if it's documented.
Nathan Schneider says he doesn't remember. He thinks that you showed us this before, that it was a top layer. Yeah.
Me?
Yeah. The Art says, I think it's the topmost of what? Are you guys
so
on like a delayed release here or what? Yeah, it's
maybe
the top.
It's the beginning.
The
beginning of Alzheimer. I don't know.
Yeah. So the object layer of the selected. Yeah, it's the top. Show
Cool.
show the
Look.
objects. Show the object inspector, please. So yeah, you need to show the. Go over here and show the object.
Oh.
Pop to your left pane there. Yeah.
Yeah, it's on this on top. I put that on top.
Yeah, you did top, and that's the top one of that.
I put this. I put that one on top first, then this one. So.
Yeah, and if you selected another one on top, then it would take, like, if that's an edit box there. If you selected that one, then it wouldn't work because you would.
Let's try. If I do this. Yeah.
Yeah.
So the top kills the button.
The top
And
from that selection.
Okay, what happened if this one has another one? Yeah, it kills it.
So it's
So if I want to do the opposite, I just do this front.
Uh-huh.
No. See, because this one is still on top. Because this one is inside. If I take this one out, in that case, it's going to work. Yeah. Okay. Now I know how it works. Okay.
Okay, so it's the top object within the. Of course, the slide control a little bit different.
Yeah.
But yeah. So it's the frontmost, the frontmost or topmost object is where it's taking it from. Correct, Moki. That's our understanding. Thanks to Ken and his awesome training. If it wasn't for hot air balloon Ken, we'd be screwed. We would still be lost. So, all right. Well, that was a wrap for today. Yes, no, so much you're starting to forget stuff. Yeah, well, that's the problem. I mean, the thing is, we're working on various things, and Nick's days at Claris are starting to slowly kind of fade into his background memory, right? Same with me, right? So, if you're not using it every day, you tend to forget.
No, I never knew that. I want to be honest with people. You know, I never knew about this stuff. You know?
Okay. Well, Don from Colorado. Nick, I used one of your minimal themes for solution, and every field has a large margin to the right side. How can I change this for some of the fields that I'd like to have the text centered, right? You select the item, Don.
I use your minimal theme for, and every field has a large margin.
How do you change the margin on the right side? Yeah, you change the padding.
Which
right?
minimal theme? This one here? Yeah. This one here? The slick?
Yeah, John wasn't specific about that, right? So, but yeah, you can change it. You can change change it in the theme and then save the change back. Why don't you show how you?
Okay, let's say. Okay,
just pick
here my
one and do
technique.
it.
Let's say I want to change the default of a style.
Yes. Yes.
Let's say this one, I know is the default because there's no. If you do a change, immediately you start having this red here.
Yeah, red.
So let's say you have already a change here, and you made another change later on, right? You made another change, and you want to save that as a default, but you already had a change. That means you are adding two changes now. So let's say I want to make sure that I'm not messing up everything. I duplicate the object. I revert to the default. I have a pure default. This is a pure default. And then I say, okay, I want to remove those things. You know, I want to make less. I save it. Tac. So it's clean. See, it changed that. It's clean. Okay, clean. Because I duplicated the object, I reverted to the default, and I'm sure I am going to modify the default. I'm not going to add multiple changes. Okay. Yeah. Hello.
All right. Yep. No, I'm here. I'm just watching what's going on. Yeah, it's an interesting conversation. We might want to. Do we want to have more of it? Well, Nick is going to be going on vacation pretty soon, but we could add it to our to-do list of doing more with just, I guess, components and states. I mean, it might be interesting, right? So
I can do that. You know, I can prepare something. You know, like make sure that somebody's talking about Cameron S is talking about the video for the Discord video. Yeah, the theme I built for Discord is kind of a nice one. It's very evolved, a very advanced custom theme that I built. Right, the Discord. It's a dark mode kind of a theme, right? So you can use that as an example. The video is kind of cool too. Yeah, I show a lot of things in this video, but I can go deeper in more details on this. I don't care about talking too much about what happened behind the scene, under the hood stuff. It's not very interesting for people. I prefer to focus on how to get efficient, like I just demonstrated with sharing the style between object, now that this object, and the same, for even a popover, a button, a pop-up menu, a drop-down menu. Those are the same objects, so you can share style between those objects. So that's cool. When you have something like this, you can just copy the style of this guy and put that in a button. You have it, right? So it's kind of cool to have some kind of insights of how you can use those things to get more efficient, right?
I'm here. Sorry, I was muting myself. I think some of the people are starting to leave, so I think we're at the end of our time. But tomorrow we're going to be back. Tomorrow we're going to start the brain transplant. Is that what we're doing tomorrow, Nick? Transplanting your brain from one point to another point? Nick Hunter.
Sorry, I wasn't listening.
Oh, no, I said tomorrow we're going to be starting your conversation on your brain transplant, right?
Yeah, so the transplant, tomorrow we are going to do the transplant of this file to another one. So I have a customer file, though we are going to do a real stuff. Actually, I'm going to work for a customer tomorrow.
Oh, so we're going to watch you getting paid is what's going to happen.
Exactly. Watch me getting paid.
Oh, okay.
And it will be interesting because this never be done that to that extent. That means we are going to transplant this solution, all the tables, all the fields, all the relationship. Okay, all the relationship. We are going to transplant this. We are going to transplant all the layouts, all the scripts, right, and all the value lists. We are going to do that.
Wow.
In 4 days.
4 days, but you're going to do the first 2 days this week, right?
Yes.
Cool.
So I'm going to. So as I explained to you this weekend, I'm going to start working on this tomorrow. But I will get stuck very quickly if because I don't want you guys to watch me for 5 hours working on this.
Yep.
Okay. So I'm going to pre-bake cookies before.
Pre-bake.
I'm going to show you, like, I'm going to build with you this one, and then, like, by magic, everything will be done. Okay. But I'm not, because I don't. It takes time. It takes time. It's very time consuming to do this. And that's why, what's the name? Some people. So now I want to explain if we have 2 minutes, but I'm going to explain tomorrow.
Yeah, we'll do it tomorrow. Because we're out of time. So we've already lost Megan and people. So
tomorrow. It doesn't make sense now.
Anything else, Nick? Is that it for today?
No, I'm good. Sorry to be passionate about this stuff, but.
Yeah, he's if you weren't passionate, then you couldn't be here, Nick. It wouldn't work. So there you go.
I know. But people likes it.
They love it when you tell me to shut up and that if you don't do it, you're inefficient. So yeah.
No, it's not that. It's not. It's just that it's I understand all the concern of everybody. Everybody has a good reason and stuff like that. But I'm the only one proving that I'm right. So.
There he goes again. Yep, exactly. All right, cool. Well, we'll pick it up tomorrow. Thanks, everyone.
Bye-bye.
guys just stepped up the whole way. Calm, cool, collected the quarterback. Great read, good patience. More importantly, great job up front protecting this quarterback to give you a chance. And that's all you can ask for.
Trying to rally down 10. 9:25 to go here in the fourth. Short motion by Amendola from the left. Brady takes the shotgun snap, stands in, throws it left for Amendola, reaches up and snacks a high throw and lands inside the 10, rolling to the 9. Ball slightly behind him, again he makes the grab.